Yeah, welcome to another episode of Arts Place, conservative talk from a different view. We've got a great show today. We have Casper Stockham. He's a candidate running for U.S. Congress here in the 6th District here in Denver. Well, actually, Aurora, Colorado, and Arapahoe County and that area. So, let's welcome my co-host, Lloyd Mendenhall.
Forgot to turn my mic back on. Hey Art, how you doing?
I'm doing all right. I'm hanging in there. Just kind of had a weird day today, so hopefully everything will work out, and we'll talk about that a little later. But we
Okay.
got a great guest that'll be coming in shortly, Casper Stockham. He's a candidate for U.S. Congress here in Colorado,
Okay.
and
Okay.
that's mostly Aurora, Arapahoe County, a little bit of Adams County. It's out on the east side of town. This will be his third run for Congress. The first two he ran for Congress in CD1, which is Denver, and that's Diana DeGette's seat, and that's a real tough seat uh,
Yeah.
for Republican to get there.
Right.
It's
Right.
like
Right. Right.
75-80%.
Democrats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay. Casper, I'm gonna do. He's having some issues.
Yeah. That. Yeah.
Told him to use the Chrome browser.
Right. Right.
Hmm.
Yeah. It seems to work best with StreamYards.
Yes. Hmm.
But so, what other wonderful things have been going on with you today?
Well, earlier, as you may have known, I lost a drone last Monday, and I
Hmm.
lost two drones. And I went over to the guy's house where the drones crashed to try to recover them. And finally, this guy answered the door. And I asked him, could
Right.
I please have my drones back? And he said he threw them away. So went through his trash, and I couldn't see him. I don't know if they've been picked up early in the week, but since it was a holiday week, I don't know if they picked them up later in the week or they picked them up like right after. I don't know what happened. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a sad story, but
Yeah. And I hate to hear that. That's not. Why would anybody throw? I mean, all right, maybe the one that was up on the roof, they might have thought, okay, that's somebody's toy. I'll just toss it,
yeah,
But that Phantom 3, there's no way they would just toss that away. They
yeah,
Unless they were just really, uh,
PO'd.
yeah, yeah, unless they were just real jerks, you
Yeah.
know.
Hmm.
And yeah,
Yeah.
Chris hopes his landfill. I I'll bet he didn't throw them away. I'll bet he pawned them.
Yeah. I went up to some. I went to some of the nearby pawn shops
Yeah,
and gave them a heads up and say, look out for a Phantom 3
right.
drone without a controller with some damage.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
mhm.
Oh man, I hate to hear that, Art. It just takes all kinds.
Yep.
Uh, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't understand today. I don't understand today's society. And we
Right.
talk about that all the time on here. And this
Hmm.
is just another reflection of the deterioration of our civilization.
That's right. That's
Neighbors
right.
used to help neighbors. They used to. I got a neighbor next door. I have no clue. I'm not even sure who lives there. I see her there every so often, but I see other people going in and out of her house, so I don't know who's living there. And
Hey, Lloyd, could I
sure,
stop you for a second? Casper's still having problems getting in. Do you have any suggestions?
okay. Probably what he needs. What's is he having problems just getting in?
Yes,
Because
he's
uh,
using Chrome.
he's using Chrome.
Uh huh.
Okay. Uh,
I'll tell him to copy and paste the link
into Chrome. Yeah.
into Chrome or a URL.
Right. Now
Eh,
he's. I'm trying to think because I just click on the link that you send me, and it
yeah,
opens up my Chrome browser and puts me right there.
right.
And then I select if like I'm using, of course, I'm using vMix, but he has to select his camera. And is he even getting into the back room? Has he popped in there?
I don't see him in the green room,
Okay,
and
let me see. Uh, let me see if I can figure out. Uh,
okay. Sorry, folks. Don't mind
yeah,
us.
we're
We're just
yeah.
helping out our guests trying to get on.
Uh,
Okay, hopefully,
yeah, I'm
hopefully
trying to.
he'll be able to get in. He's having some issues. It could be that he might be out of range of a Wi-Fi signal.
Well, if he can he open up the browser? Where
I'm sure he's opened up the browser. He's just having problems getting into StreamYards, and it's the same link I sent you. So,
right?
mm-hmm,
Yeah, yeah, because he should by rights just it should just uh
mm-hmm.
now he may have to select he may have to go to his settings and make sure that he's got his video set up and
It
his
says
microphone.
it's locking up. It will not completely log in.
Hmm.
Should he
Okay.
reboot and try again?
He could try that. He could reboot and try again. Is he on Wi-Fi? Is he using cell
He's
phone or
using a tablet.
using a tablet?
Yeah,
I can't say that I've ever tried it with a tablet.
I think that's how Nancy Pelosi got on.
Okay.
And I
Let's
think
see.
Tom Tancredo used his
Yeah.
cell phone.
Okay. Yeah. Well, is he using an iPad or is he using a
I'll
uh,
ask him that.
Android?
Oh, okay. It's his wife's iPad. Okay.
Okay. Is he using Google Chrome for the browser?
Yes, he says he's using
Google
Chrome.
Chrome for the browser. Okay. Uh, God, I don't even have that on this one. I was going to do a walkthrough on mine. Uh,
Right.
yeah. Uh, let me see.
Today's show is brought to you
Do you
by
buy
uh,
uh,
StreamYard Tutoring
StreamYards?
by
Yeah.
Art and Lloyd.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, here we go.
This time I've got a drink and I'll be quenched.
Okay. Oops. Well, I've done that. Okay. Uh,
Oh, there he is. All right, let's bring him
okay.
on. Ladies and gentlemen, we got our guest. Let's welcome to the show Casper Stockham. Welcome, sir. How are you this morning?
Hey, I'm doing well. Sorry for the delay. I'm using my wife's iPad.
That's okay. So, tell us a little bit about yourself. You are an Uber driver, aren't you?
I do a lot of things, and Uber and Lyft are one of them. But I also work in the inner city with youth, so I have several businesses.
Great, great, great. So, let's see. Let's go like that, and we'll
Once you
switch to.
reverse it, and put him in the center screen and put
Yeah,
us, you and
that's
I,
what
on the
I'm
side.
trying to do. Okay, we'll get this.
You have to excuse us, Casper, because this is the first we're just started using this software here just in the last month.
Yeah.
Yeah,
All right, we'll use this. I think
use
this
this.
will
Yeah,
work out
yeah.
fine, and his resolution is just good for this. So, Casper, I understand you had a little run-in last weekend. You were at the ICE detention rally. Uh, Tell us a little bit about that.
A little bit. I think you were asking about the ice rally. Hopefully, you can hear me okay.
Right.
Yeah,
It
we
was an
can hear you fine.
interesting event. I noticed. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, we hear you.
Yes,
Yeah, we're
yes, we
getting a
hear you
lot of
fine.
breakup here.
Uh-huh. So go ahead, tell us about the ICE detention rally.
We hear you fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, okay, great. All right, great. Um, yeah. So typically, when we do a rally, we're not protesting. We are supporting some organizations, some individuals, or some systems or whatever. And the other side always likes to protest our rallies, and that's typically what happens when they do their rally or protest. We do counter protest their stance. They can go and do their thing without interruption. But at the ICE Detention Center rally that we did, supporting the men and women and the men and women in blue, we had counter protesters come out, and they came out with bullhorns and signs, just very negative in their approach. So what I do is I always engage people. I don't engage them to start arguments. I engage them to have a conversation. And
Right.
typical liberal responses, they and then carrying on, and and the young man with the bullhorn, I actually know him. His name is Tay Anderson. He was the main instigator with the bullhorn and just using the siren on to cause more disruption of our peaceful rally. So there were plenty of Aurora PD there. There were probably a dozen or so protesters, and there were at least 100 or plus of us that were there attending the rally, including Michelle Malkin and Randy Corcoran and Tom Tancredo. So it was a very good event, and then it kind of turned a little bit when a few of us were trying to engage some of us were literally being the barrier between the protesters and Michelle and Randy and Tom. But
Right.
I went to the protesters and I walked up, and this one young man, I mean, as soon as I walked up, he said, "Oh, here comes their token N word." So I don't know if I
Mm,
can if I can say the word here, but he
yeah.
said, "Oh, here comes
That's
a token N word,"
right.
and I said,
Yeah.
"Go ahead." I said, "I know you did not just call me the N word. I don't know if you saw the video or not, but I said it back to him. I said, you did not just call me, the N word," and he was emboldened by the crowd around him, and no one was chastising him for calling me
Right.
that. But they would instantly chastise a Republican or conservative or a Tea Party person for calling any Democrat that. In fact, it would be national news, guys. There's no way that would
Yep.
not have been national news had it been reversed. So
Right.
I did not allow him to get away with it. I kept pressing him, and he finally admitted that he did call me because we couldn't get. He called me that, and we were so shocked and stuff. We weren't filming at the time, but we
Right.
started filming almost directly after that, and we
Right.
had about a 10-minute or so exchange, but we only caught about 2 minutes of it on video.
Right.
But we caught enough of it on video so that those 2 minutes are now available online for for the entire world to see.
Right.
Good.
Well, here's what you do. Next time you have a rally, you have someone that has a GoPro type camera that's on a gimbal, and that way they can record just about everything that's going on there.
Yeah, and Art, your sound is really breaking up for me. I couldn't even tell what you said. I think you were talking about basically having prepared maybe a drone in the air or something to where
A,
we're filming
a
it the whole
camera.
time,
Yeah.
and it wasn't that organized. Camera,
Right.
right, right. It wasn't that organized. Most of us were just there just to support Michelle and Randy and the men and women in blue. We weren't really planning
Right.
to have a confrontation. However, you are correct. In the future, we definitely need to plan ahead and make sure
Yeah.
everything, because on our side, typically we're the ones that are misrepresented. So we have to make sure that we always have evidence of what's
Yes.
truly going on at these rallies.
That's
Yeah. Antifa is known to be a part of these rallies, and they're almost always. Uh, I mean, I've seen enough of them. They always have a camera running. You know, I don't know if you could hear that or not, but uh, Antifa always has their cameras running, a cell phone or a camera. You don't want to use a drone because that's flying over people, and
right.
you can't do that with a drone.
I'm I'm not picking up what you guys are saying. It's really
Do you
choppy. I
have
can't
your
hear
headphones
a
in,
full word.
Casper? Try your earbuds. Maybe you can hear us better with the
Have
earbuds.
you got your earbuds plugged in?
Yeah, these things.
No, there's no.
Earbuds.
I think you
There's
said
no
put some
port.
earbuds in. I don't have a connection with my wife's laptop, and it's not the sound itself. It's
The signal?
literally the audio is broken up, so I can't. It's not.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Maybe if I relocate, maybe or something. Let me
Yeah,
try to
that
go to
could.
a
All right.
different location. Maybe I can pick it up there. Try.
Right. It could be being in that car that's interfering with the signal.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Try to get a better signal.
There, we can hear you
Okay,
better
keep
now.
talking.
Yeah. Yeah,
All
we can
right.
hear you good. Can you hear us?
Can you hear us now?
Can you hear me better?
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah,
we
You
you're
can.
can
coming in
see me
fine.
though.
All right.
Yeah. Okay, can you
I'm
hear
up at
us any better?
I'm up at Lookout Mountain. I just finished church.
Oh,
Ah.
great.
Oh,
Okay.
Lookout Mountain.
Uh,
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, if you're up there, yeah, you might be right at the edge of cell range.
Yeah, you're probably right where the cell range is at its extension. Yeah,
Yeah.
where at the
Hmm.
extent of where it can reach. But
Right.
well, it's coming in a little bit better now. I can hear you guys a little better. So
Okay.
okay.
Great. Great.
Okay. Good.
Good.
Yeah. You want to have somebody with a cell phone or a camera running whenever you're at one of those events, because Antifa does that, and that's why they get their videos out there. I don't know if you could hear that or not. Okay.
Are we still breaking up, Casper?
Now,
Yes. Uh, tell us about how the people are responding to you in CD6. I know you've probably been going to a few functions there in Arapahoe County and in Aurora. But how about some of the places
Yeah,
outside
man, it's so
those
tough. And I'm gonna
events?
try to locate again. Try to
Okay.
relocate.
Okay.
Hold on.
All right.
Okay. Yeah. His sound is coming through fine.
Yeah.
And he's just having, yeah, it's the return sound, and
Sorry,
that's usually what
hard time
causes the
even
problem.
hearing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Are you watching on YouTube or are you just watching it
I'm
through StreamYard?
Going to higher
Okay.
ground.
Yeah.
It's always better to take the high road, anyways.
Mhm.
okay.
Okay. Can you hear us now?
Okay.
No, he's.
Okay, I think I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you? Okay.
All
Make
right.
your
My
question
question is,
short.
what kind of response are you getting from the people in CD6?
Let me try to hook in because now I'm in the wind now, so that's why I was down there.
Yeah.
Because there's
Yeah,
no
we do
wind, but
hear
now I
the
have
wind.
wind.
Yeah. We'll get it
So
worked
I can
out.
hear you better, but I can't hear you better because of the wind. I need to try to
Right.
hook up
Right.
my earbuds, but
Earbuds.
There you
I'm an
go.
Android user and this is the iPad. So
Ah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm not even sure how to exit out of here. Um, I don't know, guys. We may have to try to reschedule this to a different time or something.
All right. I think we
We
can
can do
do
that.
that. Okay. But thanks for giving it the good old college try, and we'll try again down, in a couple weeks or so. All right.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry about that. I was trying to get out of the wind, but I can't hear you when I'm down out of the wind.
Right.
Right.
All
Oh,
right.
wait a
Well,
minute. Okay,
we
this
will.
this
Hold on,
might be
Art.
okay here.
Okay. Hang on, Art. Don't don't get trigger
Okay,
happy.
let's
Slow
try it
down,
again
Art.
one more
Okay.
time.
I'm
Okay.
slow.
One more time. Let's try it again, cause I hear
Okay.
you a little better now.
Okay. That's good.
Make your question short about his
Yeah.
uh, what you asked him, Art, about his how people are reacting to him in his district.
Yes. That's my question.
Yeah. Art wants to know how
Which
are
is what?
people reacting. How are people reacting to you in your district that you're campaigning in right now?
Yes. So I'm running in CD6, which is Aurora, and I have a new primary opponent, which is Steve House. And Steve was the former state chair of the party several years ago, and he was the CEO of the party until he stepped down to run for CD6, which is a whole nother deal. I still want to know, did he know when we voted for him that he was going to be stepping down in 6 months to run for CD6? Because that to me is not that's not a class act. But
No.
anyway, so I'm running in CD6, and when I'm in the community, talking with folks in the community, I don't. It's not that I get a warm, um, uh, um, applause. What do you call it? A standing ovation when I go into the community. But they do
Right.
listen to what I have to say,
It's good.
and I do get some folks that are paying attention. And when I go in, I talk about empowerment. And at the end of the day, we have to do better outreach as conservatives and as Republicans. If we don't do better outreach, we're not going to win in 2020. We have been very poor on the outreach aspects of going into the inner city. And that's what I've been doing for the past 8 years. So I'm kind of, for lack of a better word, I'm kind of the local expert um, in going
Right.
into the inner city to help make a difference. What I haven't, what I have not had in the past is support from the party. they have they have said they agree with what I'm talking about, but they're not putting their feet and their money where the mouth is.
Yeah.
So they
Yeah.
say that they love, oh yeah, we love what Casper's doing, but they're not showing it with their feet and with their wallet. And that's what needs to change. They need to join me in the inner city. We need to work together to, I got bees flying around now. uh, they need to work together with me so that we can bring conservative values and principles into the inner city.
Yes.
And the way we do that is by us all coming together as conservatives and as Republicans to make that happen.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And that's something the Republican Party has been lacking on in years.
Yeah.
Uh, we just we got too much infighting, and everybody's wanting a piece of the pie, but nobody's willing to step up and say, "Hey, this is what we need. Let's put our money and our resources behind this person." And we definitely
Oh, exactly.
need is
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
And like Steve Carpenter says in the
Yeah.
chat, he
So,
says we need the guys in the
so my
trenches.
opponent, I'm sorry, you broke up there.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Okay, we're getting
Uh,
such
No,
a
it's breaking up again.
oh,
all right. Well, go
and
ahead and talk if you can.
when I ran for House District in Aurora, I found the same thing that I didn't get a whole lot of support from this. Oh, he's
Oh,
gone.
we
Okay.
lost him.
Anyway, yeah, he's right. When I ran for House District 41 uh, 8 years ago, I ran into the same problem because the district is heavily Democrat. It's like, you know, 64, 65% Democrat. And, I got a lot of help from the local people, from the community. They chipped in, but, and I understand why the party does it because why do you want to put money into a cause that's not going to be fruitful? It looks like he's back. Let's
Hey,
at there he is.
Okay, you're back. Can you hear us?
so, all right. Take care. So, hey guys, I apologize for the connection. I really would like to redo this if we can, because we have a lot of
That's fine.
stuff we need to discuss, and this connection is
Yes.
not is not working right now.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, you got it. We'll do that, Casper. I'll
Yeah.
get in touch with you and we'll set up another time that's a
And
little more conducive, and we'll have a
even if we have to do it later in the day or earlier in the day, whatever
yeah.
suits him.
Yeah, even yeah, if it's a little later, even on Sunday, I'll be at my home PC. I have a mic and speaker set up, so it'll be a
Wonderful.
much better connection. I apologize.
Oh
All right,
no,
let's do
no.
that then.
Let's do
All
that
right,
because I want to talk
take
with
care,
you
guys.
too.
Okay,
All right. Thanks for
all right,
coming in, and you have a
bye.
pleasant day.
Yeah,
All right.
all right.
Thanks a
Bye-bye.
lot. Okay.
All right, we're
Yeah.
back.
Here's
Okay, it's the two of us, Lloyd.
right. Well, hey, we can do that. I was gonna hit on what he was saying and some what Steve said. The problem I see with the Republican Party, and they've had this for since 2000 at least. Okay.
Right?
All right. You have, let's say you're in a heavy democratically controlled district.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. The Republican Party, they're going to go after the big districts that they know are going to give them the support that they need. They're going to go after the easy stuff. That's where they're
Yeah.
going to put their money. They don't want to lose what they've got.
Right.
They don't think about trying to gain what they'd lost in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And what they need to be doing is going after these little districts, or these not necessarily little districts, but these, if they could flip a predominantly Democratic district around to and they put the support behind people like what you ran into 8 years ago and what Casper seems to be running in now. You know,
Right.
Casper is the kind of guy we need in the Republican Party
Mm-hmm.
because one of the, I mean, look at you and I here,
Mm-hmm.
a couple old white guys, you
Yeah.
know, we need the people across the spectrum because that's who we are as a nation. We are a people across the
That's right.
spectrum.
That's
And uh, we're not after anybody because of what they are, but we need them because of their beliefs in his values, and that's
mhm.
the biggest thing we need right there is somebody that's got the kind of values. He's a businessman. He's helping with the inner city. That's where we lost out so much on the inner cities because we just don't put we've given up. We said, okay, the reason right now Antifa is so mad and Antifa was even brought about is because, well, Donald Trump won and he shouldn't have.
Yep.
And the Republicans are fighting back. That's why they're getting so angry because we're not just standing there taking it,
Mm-hmm.
but we need to keep that up. We didn't.
Mm-hmm.
We did it in 2016, but in 2018 we just kind of like, oh, and we lost control of the House.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to happen again if we don't get our act together. We've got to support these. Uh, yeah, he said, Steve Carpenter says during 2016, Orange County turned blue for the first time in 70 years. The GOP did nothing to support this mainly red district. Dumb, truly dumb on the GOP. That's it. They've got the party, the Republicans in the leadership of the party.
Right.
They're just like the Nancy Pelosi's. They've been in office. They don't want to lose their seat. They don't want to lose their paycheck. They don't want to lose their little piece of the pie.
Right.
And so, well, I've got my job. I'm not worried about anybody over there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where the GOP has screwed up.
Uh-huh.
They just totally screwed up on this.
Mm-hmm. And they also need to start putting money into the competitive races too, like uh, especially where I live. It's a fairly competitive district in House District 29, but we just had a really horrible candidate. Number one, we need to start vetting our candidates.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
and we need to help those candidates in competitive districts. It turned out the guy that ran for House District 21 had, well, he pled guilty to a drug offense. He was growing and distributing psilocybin mushrooms.
Okay.
And now he's running again in House District 48, which is Greeley. And I'm like, going, good God, somebody primary this guy. We got to get him out of there.
Well, here's the thing we need as a party, the GOP needs to have a plan. I mean, you uh, look at the way the Democrats run things. I mean, they've got these different little organizations that are going around and they're training from the bottom up because that's how it works. You've got to train from the bottom up. The
Right.
guys that are already sitting up there and been up there for 20 years, they know how to play the game. It's the beginners like you and I that are starting out, or the guys that
Right.
haven't, we need those assets. Those guys, they're already millionaires off of being congressmen.
Yep.
Uh, it's time for them to either step aside or, hey, take some of that wealth that you've earned through serving and let's read it, not redistribute. God, I just about said that, but let's let's start taking some of the experience that you've earned,
right.
and that you've learned, and
Mhm.
helping some of the people lower down on, because we're losing out in the individual districts inside the state house positions. We're
That's right.
losing out in the local district, or not the local district, but well, we're losing in the mayorships. We're
Yeah.
losing in,
City
we can lose the
council.
governorships. We're losing the state house, the
And,
state senates.
city councils,
City
county
councils, yeah.
commissioners. Yeah, yeah, that's right.
We need to have the GOP needs to have an overall plan for the next, and they should have a plan. Right now they're worried about 26 or 2020. Okay,
Right.
Donald Trump. Okay, what about after Donald Trump?
Yeah.
We got 4 years from next year to figure out what we're going to do and who we're going to put up for candidate. Is it naturally going to be Mike Pence? I don't know. Is there anybody better qualified? I don't
Hmm.
know. Uh, what are we going to? People are looking at it. They're looking short term. They're looking, and they don't look long term. The Democrats, they've been playing this game, and they've been working this game since Bill Clinton
Hmm.
was in office. And they'd been working that since Jimmy Carter. You
Yep.
know,
Hmm.
and they knew that the time was going to come. They knew they couldn't beat Ronald Reagan. They tried, and if you notice, they'll throw up some candidate that really doesn't have a chance to beat him. You
Yep.
know, I mean, look what they've got playing right now. I mean, they were talking that Joe Biden was their best bet.
Yeah.
Really, you know, Sleepy Joe. I don't think so.
Oh,
Uh,
and the guy is making mistakes
After
over and
mistakes,
over,
yeah, yeah,
and just making up stuff
yeah.
too.
But the point is they've got 20 people running or 17 people running,
Yeah.
and none of them are worth a flip.
Yep.
Okay.
Hmm.
The reason is because they know they probably won't beat Donald Trump. It's
That's
just
right.
so they're just somebody they can throw under the bus, you know.
Yep.
Just it's a given. We're not going to win that, so somebody to throw under the bus. But instead, because they just know they can't beat them. But we need to worry about: are we going to throw somebody under the bus in 4 years, or 5 years, or are we going to have a viable candidate who can do the job and pick up after? Uh,
Donald Trump. Yeah.
Thank you, God. My mind, I almost said every president, but the one that's in office. Because I was on a rant. Okay,
Yeah.
but I mean, but that's the problem. We got guys like Casper there that are. He's busting his butt out there. He's making a living. He's trying to help with the inner city. He's trying to do stuff for the youth in the inner city, and he's trying to run. And he's not getting the support he needs. And we need to have. I mean, he's down there in the trenches on the ground. And that's
Hmm.
what we need to be considering.
Yep.
I see all the time how many black conservatives are out there, and there's a lot of them, and
Yep.
they're more and more. But we're going to lose them if we don't start supporting those candidates that are trying to run. You
That's
know,
right.
I mean, God, I know they don't want to go back to what the Democrats are right now. They
Yep.
want to stay with us, but we need to start putting our money where our mouth is and our feet on the ground where our mouth is, just like Casper said.
Hmm.
I mean, I'm 100% behind him right now.
Yeah.
Uh,
Same here. That whole thing with Steve House. When he ran, when he was the chairman, the state chairman of the GOP here, they tried to oust him out of power after 6 months, and that was a failed coup attempt to try and get him out. So he weathers the storm, and we did so in the elections and he only lasted 2 years. He got bumped out, and Jeff Hayes was the chairman. And then this time around, Ken Buck, he's the chairman. He's a sitting congressman right now, and he promoted Steve House as chief CEO or COO, Chief Operating Officer. And
right.
then 6 months into it, he quits so he could run for Congress. I mean, what kind of deal is that? That just looks bad.
Yeah, it's like Casper was saying, with the uh your party chairman there that just dropped out to run. Did he know he was going to do it? That's not class.
Mhm.
And that's another thing we've lost. We've lost. Uh, y- I just get really passionate about this. That the party needs. I've said it for years that this party needs to get their act together.
Yep.
You guys hear me talk about Charlie on my vlogs, the guy that owns the chicken place we go to.
Right.
This guy his grandfather or great grandfather probably helped found the Democratic Party. You know, they've been Democrats for 4 generations, I think, or as
Right.
long as however many, because he's like 88. So it might be his grandfather.
Yeah, unless
But
his grandfather is 150 years old. Andrew Jackson was the first Democrat.
well, yeah, let's see, he's 80.
That's
Yeah, probably his
18
great grandfather. Yeah, Andrew
great
Jackson with
great
the
grandpa.
yeah, yeah, probably his great grandfather. Because I mean, his family they live into their hundreds. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's,
but this guy's been a Democrat since all his life, and his father was too, and he has told me that he's no longer Democrat. He's a
mhm,
Republican because he can't support people like Nancy Pelosi. Well,
mhm.
we're going to have the same problem, and we've had the same problem in the past. After Reagan left, we got you know
George Bush,
George, wringing his hands, Bush,
yep.
kind of like,
And then
yeah,
that brought
well,
in Bill Clinton. We
Bill
got
Clinton, because
2 terms of Bill, and then we got George W. Bush, who fortunately he served 2 terms, but the
but
housing bubble burst, and that
yeah,
kind of put
yeah,
kibosh. And plus, he had a war going on, and we were attacked
right, right.
just a few months into his first term.
Yeah. Well, and as much as I hate to say this, that was probably the best thing that happened to his administration, because up to that point, he had absolutely no guidance of where he was going. He had no clue what he was doing. But once we were attacked, he had a purpose,
Hmm.
because he came in without any, uh, I mean, he picked a guy to help him vet for a vice presidential candidate. And the guy says, "Oh, I'm old, but I'm the best for the job." Really? You know, we
Uh-huh.
had nobody after HW left office. That was the stupidest move the Republicans ever made,
Hmm.
you know, and that's what we're doing now. Although Mike Pence, I think, would make a damn good president, excuse
Yeah.
my language, but I think he would.
Hmm.
Uh,
I think
he,
so too.
you know, but he might be too conservative for some. Some of
Right.
his views are real far conservative,
Hmm.
and you know, you and I both, yeah, we're conservatives, but you're probably conservative on some items, and I'm conservatives on the other.
Hmm.
Uh, but we've got to start locally, and if we
Right.
don't, and we can build a base, but we got too many of them, you know, lifers up there in Washington that don't want to give up their cushy jobs.
Mhm.
We that's why there's no term limits. They don't want to vote themselves out of a job.
Yep. And we talked about this with Trevor Loudon last
Loudon last week, yeah,
about term limits,
yeah,
and that's why we need Article 5 in Convention of States so we could, get this going. And I
and
hope we get 30 plus states to come along and say, hey, we need term limits.
yeah. When therein lies the problem too. Uh, Article 5 is great, and we've got a lot of people. I belong to the Convention of States group,
Right.
but we got 6 groups. Each one of them are doing their own little thing. How about let's come together, and
Yeah, that's
as
right.
we need to we are we have no central organization of the GOP.
Mhm.
There's nobody that is helping. uh there's nobody in charge. uh you know do you know who the head of the RNC is right now? I
I
mean,
believe it's Ann Romney.
okay, all right, yeah, well, that's a name at least you recognize, but Romney, really?
Yeah,
No offense to her, but that just goes to show you, when was the last time you heard her name in the news?
yeah, yeah.
What is she doing besides
Mhm.
nothing? Because you don't hear her talking about anything. You don't hear her speaking about anything. You don't hear her doing anything. What is she doing to energize the Republican Party?
Right,
What is she doing as head, other than drawing a check?
right. At least Michael Steele and Reince Priebus, you heard about them all the time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Hmm. Oh,
yeah.
and I also wanted to point out Trump's going to have a primary, it looks like. Mark Sanford is going to run against him. He's saying, oh, the GOP has lost their way. I'm like, oh, really? This is the guy that got thrown out of the Senate for an affair, and then
Yeah.
he got elected, I think, as governor of South Carolina.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I don't think the GOP is going to get behind him. And Steve Carpenter says on Fox News, you'll hear her name. And the sad thing is Fox News is getting to be as liberal as CNN
Yep.
much longer. And I'm going to, uh, I mean,
Can't stop watching him.
well, I don't watch them now because I tell you what, back during Katrina,
Uh-huh.
Shepard Smith, I wanted to just reach out and smack that
I
guy.
know.
He does this. He's sitting there, got the camera down there, and there's people that are dying of thirst, and because they can't get water to them. You're in a helicopter. Go down, go get some water and bring it to them instead
Yep.
of just talking about it. Or that person needs rescuing down there. We can't get. Why can't they get to? Get your news helicopter. Get your butt down there, Shepard. Quit whining about it. Get the person in the helicopter and get them out. Shepard Smith is they're the pimple on the backside of Fox News.
Yeah,
Jeez, he
we
just
get you. And oh gosh,
Steve
who is
says
that?
he'll hold it for me. Good. I'd like to just smack him silly.
Yeah,
Him and Geraldo. I only saw Geraldo say one time act intelligent, and that was when that attack in Paris happened and his daughter was there.
right,
He suddenly said, "We've got to deal with these Muslim extremists." By the next day, and he knew his daughter was okay and everything was fine. It was a whole different story. He's back to
yep,
being a bleeding heart liberal again. But that one day when his daughter and he didn't know, and he couldn't get hold of her, and he didn't know, and she was supposed to be right there where that big attack happened.
right,
That was the first time I saw him act like a decent human being. After
right.
that, he went back to being the crud that
Mhm.
he is.
And Megan Kelly is another one that flipped on us.
Oh
She,
yeah,
I
yeah.
used to love her on Fox. She was a hottie, and
Well, just
and then
she was
she,
a decent. She did a really good job
yep,
until she got her own show, and then all of a sudden she decided she wanted to be a
she went
liberal.
to NBC, and
That's
then
because she got fired from Fox
yeah, yeah, that's right.
because she was
And
too
then
liberal for them.
when she went to NBC, her ratings weren't very good, and they fired her from there too. So
I mean, how bad do you have to be to get fired from NBC? I mean, that's
mhm,
yeah. It was uh yeah, it's all about the money, and you're right, Steve. It's all about the money,
uh-huh,
and we need to get a grassroots movement that starts supporting our guys like Casper there. We need
yeah,
to start supporting him. We need
mhm,
to start putting, you know, I'd I'd vote for him or do what I could for him. If he was in my district, I'd be out there shaking his hand and making sure I'd have him on the show every time I could.
yep,
And you've had some great guests, I'll admit, but in Casper's, I just sorry that we had a bad connection today because I'd really like to get to talk with him.
right, right, right. Well, we'll do that. We'll work something out
Yeah,
and get him back on. And
yeah,
plus, I've got some other people in the pipe that I want to get on, and
right,
this will be a good show. And I noticed that we're slowly getting a few more subscribers, which is good. So we're inching up towards 200.
well, good, good, good,
And also, please, folks, sponsor us on Patreon because the money from Patreon will greatly help us out because we could use that money to improve on uh, the studio here,
right,
make this a better show. So we're going up from here. So we're at the ground level, and this was originally my personal page when I first opened this up in 2007,
right.
and I threw some comedy videos on there.
Yeah.
Some of me and some of few of my comedian friends, and
Right.
I actually made a little bit of money doing that. And then they changed it, and I said, "Ah, the heck with it." I'm not because I was getting a few cents here and there, and I thought,
Right.
if I get it going, and but if I would have stayed with it back then and just putting out content, who knows where I'd be today if I would have started way back
Yeah.
then.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. And your shows are looking a lot better each time we do one of these. I notice you got you're you're starting to get comfortable with using StreamYards and vMix combined. So
right. Hmm.
yeah,
Hmm. Hmm.
yeah. So
And that way I could get a better camera. I want to be like Ken Heron, where I could get a nice DSLR, a better computer to run everything, so we could get it in either in 1080 or in 4K
right.
would be really nice. Uh,
Yeah, but I'll tell you what, it's 4K when it comes to live streaming. I don't know of anybody that does 4K or very
yeah,
few that do. I've got a 4K camera and I could, also you would have to upgrade your you'd have to first off, StreamYards won't do 4K.
right.
Second off, you'd have to pay for the higher end of vMix
Yeah,
to get the 4K,
right.
and that's another $350, I think,
Yeah.
to go to 4K. And yeah, like Steve Carpenter says, social media is a
Main advertising, modern
for
day. Yep,
right, right.
you're right. Because last election cycle, I saw a lot of Democrat ads on YouTube, and I'm like, oh, where are the Republicans? Why aren't they running ads on YouTube?
Well, and here's the thing. Uh, that's why AOC is the darling of the Democrats because she knows how to use Twitter. The rest of them old white farts don't know how to do it.
Donald Trump does.
Donald Trump, he's one of the few that does, and you know, uh, that's that's the thing, and I use that term when I say old white farts because that's what I am, and I hate to say it, but it's getting to the point where guys like us are dinosaurs and we're underrepresented,
Yeah. Hmm.
especially when it comes, but I think we on the other hand we've got that problem with the Republicans is that we don't have enough variety of constituents and people that are in the Republican Party, and we we watched that boat sailed years ago, and
Hmm.
we need to start swimming to get to it
Hmm.
because we really need to get people with family values, conservative values, financial conservatives,
Hmm.
social conservatives, uh, ethical conservatives. I mean, it all falls into play, and you don't have to be all conservative.
Yeah.
You can have
Yeah,
some,
we get the spectrum of
yeah,
conservatism from center right to far right, not really wacko right, but far right. And we need to have this big tent, and the problem is there are factions within the department saying, well, we don't like them because they're too moderate, or
yeah,
these guys will say, hey, you guys are too rigid. You just
yeah,
you're not pragmatic. You need to, you know we need to come together, and we got too many little factions out there that don't want to come together. Like, I know I've harped on this before. We've got Rocky Mountain Gun Owners, RMGO, who's they started off as a Second Amendment organization,
right,
but they branched out into conservative values like right to life, and really hard conservative values. And
right,
if you don't have those values, well, they're not going to support you. And it's like, come on, why don't you guys just stick to Second Amendment and support the candidates that we need to take back the state house? Oh, and another thing that I wanted to bring up, bro, we got the results from the petitions for to recall the governor, and
Yes.
we were far short.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's a hard thing to do. I'm actually, I need, I'm still waiting to see what the results are because we have constitutional carry laws going into effect in November, but we've got some people and they had till, I don't know, a week ago Friday to get the petitions in and hadn't heard. It looked like they were going to come up short, but still don't know yet. I haven't
right,
checked into that because they were trying to stop that and put it on the ballot. The
right,
law's already on the books, but now they're trying to stop that law and have it voted for by the people. You
right.
know, and you
And
know,
that's the nice thing about Oklahoma and Colorado is we have what's called ballot initiatives
yeah,
to uh, bring up not legislation, but amendments to the state constitution. And
right,
that's how
right,
we got taxpayer bill of rights, which the Democrats hated because it restricts on them how much they could spend because if they want a tax increase, they have to go to the voters.
yeah. Oklahoma's the exact same way. They have to, if it's a tax increase, they have to bring it before the You know, if now they can take current laws and redistribute them, I think a certain way to, but they can't add a new tax
Right.
without uh, bring it before the people.
Now, here's the caveat to that. This is how the Democrats got around it back in, I think it was 2012, is they disguised it as a fee. And the
Yeah,
state Supreme Court said, yeah, it's not a tax, it's a fee. So
right, right.
they did an end around by calling them fees, and our taxes went up. Our car registrations went
Yeah,
way up.
yeah,
I've
yeah,
seen some people where their car registration went up uh, two or three times what they paid for the previous year,
right,
which was
right.
uh,
Yeah, we had some changes in our car registration that had to do with the taxation laws, but it was voted on by the people that we weren't allowed to. And it actually it 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 made buying a new car easier, but it made it a little more expensive to buy a used car.
yeah, that's right.
I don't know why they did it that way because most people can't afford to buy new cars every couple of years anyways, but
Yeah.
they did, so
Hmm.
uh
Hmm.
and I think that may have been why is because they were getting no tax off of all the used cars that were being sold.
Right.
And so somebody buys a used car, it might be a demo model that's been tagged through the dealership, but it's never been tagged publicly. So that was considered a used car, but it's a brand new car because it's only been driven, you know, 2,000 miles.
Right.
And but yet it's like a brand new car. Got brand new car warranty and all that. And they weren't getting any tax money off that. And people were buying those kind of cars to avoid paying the tax.
Hmm.
So they made it easier to buy a new car and made it a little more expensive to buy a used car. So
Yeah. Hmm.
they were getting their money.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how what happened with the other the petitions. I know there were two or three state senators that were uh, being petitioned, and now the threshold for them is a lot lower than for governor because they needed to get 600 and something thousand signatures. So in effect, you had to get like eight or 900,000 just to make sure you just had enough valid signatures to put it on the ballot. Now, the petition for national popular vote, that made it to the ballot. So we're going to be voting on whether we stay with the Electoral College or we go with the compact and throw all our votes to national popular vote. So that's what's
Yeah.
going on there.
Well, hopefully the people of Colorado, uh, you know, I hate to say this, but I really think that maybe Denver and Greeley and Boulder should be their own state.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
know, and I say that from, I grew up in Denver, but then, and they were conservative at the time, but
yeah,
then I moved to Grand Junction and I saw how Denver treated Grand Junction and the rest of the country or rest of the state. And it's like, nah, you guys need to get your own state and leave the rest of us the hell alone.
yeah.
No
That's
offense, Art,
right.
because I know you live in Denver, but uh,
Yeah, the way the state legislators they treat the rural areas like
yeah,
crap. And they said, "Oh, well, you guys could handle those extra taxes. We don't care, you know." And this like the burdens they put on them about uh, emissions and oh, what kind of power they could use. Well, we're going to go 100% renewables by 2040, and that's going to kill the farming and ranching industry because
yeah, there's not many
those,
electric tractors.
yes, and you know they don't get it that wind does not blow constantly all the time and it's not sunny all the time. So they need another source of power to keep the grid going.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
they're okay as an addition to, but
yeah.
we still need to have, you know, uh, fossil based fuels. You
Even
know,
people who build like tiny homes like my cabin out there, I could run that, I could run that off the grid. Okay.
yep.
I could have solar energy, I could have wind energy on it,
Hmm.
but the problem is when the wind's not blowing, although I live in Oklahoma, but when the wind's not blowing and the
Because
uh
Texas sucks.
yeah, 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 in
Oh,
Kansas blows.
sorry, Chris. I didn't mean to say that.
Yeah. Actually, Texas blows, Kansas sucks, and we get all the tornadoes.
There you go. That's right. Right.
But anyways, I would still have to have a generator,
Mm,
which runs on fossil fuel, you know,
that's right.
or propane. It still runs on a fossil fuel. It's either
Yeah.
going to be gasoline or propane.
Hmm.
And yeah, propane's cleaner burning, but still,
Hmm.
it's it's not coal, but it's still fossil fuel. And uh, I mean, you'd think we'd have an abundance of fossil fuel coming out of Washington because look at all those old fossils that are serving up in DC.
Yeah, that's
They should be turned into fuel any moment now.
well, it is a swamp, so maybe by natural decay it'll turn into fossil fuel in a few million years. But
Yeah,
bring up a really good point. I follow this vlogger on YouTube. Uh, he's an American that lives in the Philippines. He built a house there, and he built a room in the basement, the generator room, and that's
right.
where he has his generator because they have brownouts quite often there.
Yeah,
So he's
yeah,
got it set up so whenever the power goes off, the generator comes on,
right.
and they have enough fuel to keep the electricity going. I mean, at a minimum, just for the refrigeration and maybe some other things that they need to that need more priority to keep going. And they also have a solar powered water heater on the roof,
Right.
which is really cool.
Yeah, my next door neighbor here had when I moved in here, they had. Of course, I guess that was a big thing back in the '80s. They were selling those solar powered water heaters, and
Right.
basically it was just a solar plate with the coils going through, and they
Yep.
were getting hot and then going back down. The problem was they didn't have hot water in the winter if they didn't have a regular hot water tank to
Yeah,
back it up,
that's right.
because yeah,
How and if they cleared off
the snow,
the
yeah,
collectors on them,
yeah,
then
yeah, they
that
had to
way,
go up and clear off the snow and the ice, and we
mhm,
get an ice storm here,
yeah,
and yeah, it was yeah they get when the next guy that moved in, he kept it for a few years, and then he got ready, and he got rid of them,
yeah,
because they weren't efficient. Of course, yeah, they've got more efficient ones now, but I
yeah,
think the most efficient is a on-demand hot water heater. It
right,
saves money. It's got instant heat. You don't have to worry about, and that's actually what I've got for hot water out at my cabin is an
right,
on-demand propane heater.
right,
Still fossil fuel,
yep,
but you know,
hmm,
uh, we can't get away from that. It's just not possible,
yep. Well, the only other choices we have are hydroelectric and
right?
nuclear, you
Yeah.
know. But no, we can't build more dams. That's bad for the environment.
Yeah, some little frog over in there's two frogs up there that are in some two tree frogs up there in a forest far away from where this is at, and it could affect it. It could affect
Yeah,
them. So let's let all of humanity uh, go without, so we can protect those two little frogs.
right.
Uh, I've
Yeah,
got that.
here in Colorado, they wanted to construct the Two Forks Dam, and that got killed because of the environmentalists and what was the Sierra Club.
Oh, that Sierra Club, they just drive me nuts. I've had no use for them for years,
Well, they
and
started out as a conservative organization. It was actually, Republicans who started uh,
yeah, they
that movement, the environmental movement.
right,
Yeah, and
right,
that goes all the way back. I mean, to the early '60s, and that was because they were hunters and fishermen, and they wanted to protect the streams and lakes and stuff. But
right,
we're
right,
all forward thinking enough to well, we need dams, and you know they were smart about it. And then
right,
the radical liberals got a hold of it, and they turned it into something totally different than what it was intended to
yeah,
be.
yeah,
Hmm.
yeah,
Yep.
and I was it it's that's happened so much, and that's what Trevor was saying last week. How many of these groups have gotten into different places now that they were? I mean, think about when you were a kid and the Cold War was on and stuff.
Yeah.
You would have no more thought there would be a socialist running for president, a socialist communist, or so. He can call himself a socialist, but he's not. He's a socialist communist. He's a Marxist. You know,
Yep.
at best. You'd have never heard of a Marxist running for president in the United States when we were kids. You
Right.
know, it was unheard of. You
Yeah.
know,
You
you
couldn't even mention that or infer someone was a socialist because that was a bad word. And
Yeah, yeah.
now they
Now
wear
they're
it
proud
proudly.
of it. Yeah, yeah. I
Oh,
just love when
somebody
that
at your
goes on.
front door?
No, I've got a Ring doorbell, and they're a great thing. I think they're really good to have, but they are annoying because when a car drives by, and they're usually about 3 seconds late, because you start looking at it like there's nothing out there. But then you got, oh, wait a minute, a car just passed about 3 or 4 seconds before that alarm went off. You know, so
Hmm.
they're a little slow, and that's what that is. That's my Ring doorbell telling me that somebody drove by, walked by,
Yeah.
or
Mm-hmm.
something like that. And I have it set to where it's not. It used to go off every or every 2 seconds because I had it where it was out into the street, and I
Okay.
brought it down to where it's just in the yard now, but it still catches it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now they call us all racist instead. Yeah,
Yep.
you know,
Yep. That's
and
right.
it's yeah, and it's like he was saying, that guy said, that guy used that word towards him,
Yep.
but he was a Democrat that said it. It was a leftist that said it, and that's okay to use that word
Yeah.
uh, towards a conservative, but let
But
you or
we
me
can't.
say,
Oh no, we
oh
can't
my
say
God,
that.
they crucify us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's
And
right.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's just gotten out of control, and
Yep.
uh, but Casper was right. We need to start in the local, and we need to get the Republican Party. I mean, I don't know if you get them, but I get these things all the time. They're, an official survey, and they, the
Oh yeah.
Republican Party. And
I
then when you
saw
look at the
some on
backside of
that.
it, it's, oh, can you help us out with $20 a month?
Yeah, I know.
You know, I just throw it away. Quit. If they didn't spend all that money on that crap and they put it into the actual campaigns, we could
Mhm.
take over. We'd have this, but they spend their money on bull crap,
Yep.
and it's just, I'm sorry, but that's the kind of garbage that just ticks me off. Just
Yep.
like I get these calls all the time. They want me to donate to this thing or that. You
Mhm.
know, if I want to donate to you know who I donate to on a regular basis? Every year at Christmas time, there's
Right.
some guy out in front of the store in the freezing cold ringing a bell with his bucket.
Right.
That's all he's doing, is sitting
Mhm.
there and saying, wishing me a Merry Christmas. If I go through, I, I do it, probably twice at each one of those stores I go to that have the Salvation Army bell ringers. I will
Right.
drop money because I see my money go in. It's my money. And that guy is standing out there freezing his tush off, asking for, just wishing me a Merry Christmas. He doesn't say, hey, do you want to buy 10 dozen cookies, or do you want to buy,
Mhm.
uh, you know, a lottery ticket to win, to be in the drawing for a BMX bicycle? Like I would
Right.
need one, you know. Instead, he's standing out there freezing his butt off, or her butt off,
Right.
ringing that bell, wishing me a Merry Christmas. Those are the kind of people I'm going to donate to,
Right.
because I know that those people that are there, they belong to a group that supports, you know, uh, they, and they might be, for all I know, they're bleeding heart liberals, but them poor people there, they're freezing their butts off and wishing me a Merry Christmas. The least I can do is throw in a few dollars, because they're the ones being helped out. The reason they're
Mhm.
doing that is because they're being helped out by the Salvation Army. And so that's
Right.
why I donate to that. That's the only group I donate to, unless it's my son, like his police department might be raising money. But
Right.
all these mailers and these phone calls from all these groups, if they'd quit spending money on that garbage,
Yeah, I
and
agree.
spend it where it needs to be.
Mhm.
Uh,
Mhm. And they already know what I think about on this issue and that issue. Yeah, I just get so frustrated. I see, oh, it's from the RNC. And I can tell, oh, do not destroy, it says on it. Uh,
right.
Official document. Survey. Boop, right into the round file. That's the nice thing about where I
Yeah.
live. I have my apartment. I, we have these big boxes that have, each apartment has a box, and I'm only a couple feet from the trash can right there. Right? And when I get my junk mail, I go whoosh right into the garbage right there. So I don't have to worry about that.
I was reading what Steve Carpenter put up there about. He said the best statement he ever heard was a long time was from a black conservative on YouTube, David Harris Jr. Our country will finally be racist free when we're all called Americans, not black Americans, brown Americans,
Mhm.
Irish Americans,
That's
Latinos.
right,
Yeah,
Steve.
when we are Americans, and
Uh-huh.
that's uh, that's just the way it is, and we are all Americans. And the problem is be calling yourself just an American now. It they're trying to shame us into even using that.
Hmm.
Well, you're you're calling yourself an American. You're racist towards the Muslim Americans or the Islamic Americans or the Jewish Americans or the blah 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 Americans.
Right.
I'm an American. I'm not hyphenated. I mean, and I've said this for years. What do I call myself? A white American? That does sound racist.
Hmm.
A European American? Well, my
Hmm.
family hasn't been in Europe. Well, my great grandfather came from England, so I guess I'm English American or Welsh American, but I'm an American, you know? And I could go with a old American or fat American, or you could go with short American.
Short American.
There
There
you
you
go.
go.
You know?
Oh, and now they're making a big stink about the Betsy Ross flag.
Oh
The
my God. Yeah.
original flag of the United States. Oh, that's racist because it's got 13 stars. What? What? These
Why?
people just drive
Yeah.
me nuts, man.
They look for anything. And the problem is the young people are so deluded and so indoctrinated that
Yeah.
they believe everything. I mean, just watch a few. All you got to do is watch 3 videos where from Oregon where the Antifa and the Proud Boys are fighting against each other. Both
Right.
groups are idiots.
Hmm.
I mean, those Proud Boys. Sorry, they may not like it, but I watched one where they put a guy up. The 2 groups decided that instead of beating each other up and having these riots, they were going to put 2 guys up to fight. So they get this skinny, wiry guy from Antifa who probably couldn't have whipped his way out of a wet paper bag
Uh-huh.
to go up against one of the Proud Boys, and they get the biggest guy they got. The problem was every time he went to raise his fist, he was out of breath because he was so fat and out of shape that
Yeah.
he couldn't. He couldn't.
Yeah.
So he actually got his butt whooped, and they had to go home with their tails tucked between their legs. And I wrote to that when they put that up there. I said, first, don't ever put another video up like this again. It's embarrassing for those of us that are conservatives.
Yep.
2, if you're going to put somebody up, and that's okay, that's a peaceful way. Let's have a duel. We'll get out there in a couple little fisticuffs, and everybody goes home. End of conversation. Or the loser goes home, and the winner stays. You know, if you're going
Mhm.
to put somebody up to represent me, make sure it's somebody who can at least lift his fist without looking like he's going to have a massive coronary.
Yeah.
you know, it's just
Yeah. Hmm.
yeah. Drone Life RC African American. Yeah, I know. It's and it's just let's see, my grandparents' mom's side waited 13 years to immigrate to the U.S. from Mexico, coming from Christian Lebanon, and had to prove he had a sponsor and a job before he was allowed in. That's it.
Hmm. Uh-huh. Well, my boss where I work, he's actually the president of the company.
Right?
Uh, he's not from here. He was born in Lebanon,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
he came over with his dad and his uncle, and they started a business here in Denver. So uh, his, his uncle later became ambassador to Bahrain
Mm-hmm.
uh, during the Reagan administration, and he also worked at the company that I worked for. He was the vice president of finance. And this is back in the 70s before he became a state legislator. And then Ronald Reagan tapped him, said, "Hey, how would you like to be ambassador to Bahrain?" So he did that. And that's another guy that I'm going to try and get onto the show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah. It's and yeah, it's like Steve's grandparents had to, for some reason they weren't allowing the Christian Lebanons in during that time period, of immigration. But immigrants had to go through Ellis Island and they had to be approved. Okay, they've shut down Ellis Island, but they still need to have that kind of system in place. We
Right.
were able to bring in thousands of immigrants at a time with something like Ellis Island. You
Yep.
know, it probably wasn't the best system, but it was better than what we got now. And now we got them sneaking across the border, and
Mhm.
uh, it's this country is just pretty well screwed up right now. And we as conservatives do not have anybody, like I said, who is in charge of the RNC right now. I mean, yeah, we know it's Romney's daughter, but what's she doing?
Mhm.
What is she doing to? Nobody seems. It's like nobody seems to be in charge right now. Like,
Yep.
you know, they spent the first 6 months siding with the Democrats
Right.
to get rid of Trump.
Mhm.
Because he wasn't their pick. You know, I
Mhm.
mean, and she's the head of RNC. Look at what her father did. He
Yeah.
come out against Trump, and he even he was even going to run against him. It's like,
Mhm.
okay, you
Yep.
know,
Mhm.
we've got when the candidate is picked, we need to start supporting, and we don't need to be tearing each other apart because the Democrats will do enough for us all. We
Mhm.
need to quit the infighting and start doing this. Uh, you know, and like I said, it starts with you guys in the trenches, right out here.
Mhm.
Out here in the cities, in the local constabularies and stuff.
Right.
Local precincts.
Mhm.
But anyways,
Also, folks, don't forget to support us on Patreon. So there's a link on the page, so that'll take you to Patreon and become a member there. Help support this channel and help us grow. So, Lloyd, we've done well over an hour, which
yeah, I see
is
that.
pretty darn good, and we'll get Casper on in a couple weeks. I'm going to be going to Michigan. Let's see, a week from Thursday, and I don't think I'll be doing an art co show because I'll be at the reunion. But I should be back in time to do another arts place on Sunday. So
Okay.
we'll work on that.
Yeah.
So thank you for coming on. Sorry things didn't work out. So let's put up
Well,
the clock and let's do the countdown. And I'm going. What I'm going to do is I'm going to mute the music because that's just not working.
I never even heard it.
It still didn't. Oh man.
No, it didn't play through. Afterwards, I'll tell you how to set that up.
Okay. All
And
right. Just
uh,
as an experiment, I will. I'll let the music play this time and see if it's coming through.
okay. And as always, thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. Oh, you know what? I forgot to use the Arts Place intro. Boy, we'll get it down one of these days, folks. So,
One of these days, I'm going to sit you down and we're going to walk through and do a complete setup for you, and I'll show you how I start mine. And
all right,
yeah, we'll
great.
get her going.
All
So
right, okay, folks. I'm gonna start the timer, and it starts right now. See you guys next week. Have a great Sunday. God bless you. See ya. Bye bye.
got to find the right one, Art.
Uh, how about this one? Maybe this might work.
That will work. And then uh, you have to get it to start from the beginning. and you need to get me out of the shot now.
Oh, dang, how do I?
All right, go to StreamYards and uh, pick it so that the clock is in the center, and there you
There we
go.
go.
Now you have to hit the restart on the in vMix. You got to restart
Oh,
uh,
okay.
the clock. Okay, we'll get it worked out.
There we go.
Now you got to actually have it to start
Oh
because it's
man.
hit the play button. That'll work. That'll work.
There we
There
go.
you go. All right. And I'll mute my mic because the music's not coming through, so that's all right. I get to hear the behind the scenes stuff going on. Yeah. Better mute your mic too, Art.
Okay.